Yep, I believe these lies about my health until I prove myself wrong. If I could go back and have a chat with my 70-pound heavier self, you know what I'd say? Tressey, you are believing some lies. Lies that are keeping you exactly where you are. Tired, frustrated, and quietly ruining your health. I had a whole playlist of reasons, aka excuses, for why I couldn't get healthier. Excuses to explain why every time life felt hard, I paused, fell back, and found myself back at square one hitting replay. Excuse, an attempt to lessen blame or justify fault. I had 99 problems and an excuse for each one until one day, life hit me like a brick. You know that moment when a doctor gives you the diagnosis that you thought, that will never be me. Yeah, that one. Luckily, I was able to turn my frown upside down by giving my excuses the boot. And I wonder how many reasons are you dancing with that is undermining your health, that if you were aware of them, you could give them the boot today. The first excuse I had to drop was my personal favorite, my go-to excuse. I used to look at my schedule and think, where am I supposed to fit all the things? Managing the house, kids, schooling the kids, work, life. Am I supposed to give up sleep? I'm busy. Shoot, we're all busy. But when I collapsed on the kitchen floor, unable to move, that was when I had my come to Jesus moment. I had to be honest. Was I too busy or was I just not prioritizing myself? See, I was running around wearing busy as a badge, you know? I grew up watching the women in my life, the women that I love, do that very same thing. And the payoff is not all it's cracked up to be. Being too busy is not a flex. It's a warning sign, a rabbit hole that I see way too many of my clients, family, and friends fall for. To climb out of this hole, I had to stop thinking, stop saying, I don't have time, and tell myself the truth. This isn't a priority. Stop lying to myself saying I don't have time to exercise. But when you really examine my life and the things that I was doing, my life was really saying that, yeah, exercise isn't a priority. These other things are. But taking that tiny shift to be real and upfront with myself helped me stop making excuses and start making different choices. I started to show up in my life like my life depended on it, because it does. And yours does too. You may not want to hear it, but you do have time. You just have to decide if you're worth it. Coming to terms with the fact that I do actually have time to do good and healthy things for myself did not quite address the fact that excuse number 2, it's flaky, it's unreliable, and it's certainly not showing up as predictable as the sun and the moon. Motivation, the reason for acting or behaving in a particular way. I would go about my day waiting for that magical moment, time, feeling, where I would feel like doing what it took to get my act together, health-wise. But it never really came consistently. You know what did show up? Back pain, ground zero energy, frustration, and so much self-disappointment. I think it was psychologist David Burns who said, action creates momentum, not the other way around. So basically, he's telling us that we need to do before we feel like it. Momentum. That's what I had to lean into in order to keep my health from continuing to derail more and more and more. To reclaim my health, I needed to resolve to stop waiting on motivation and start putting momentum into play. So my thinking, my game plan at the beginning was to do 5 minutes of something that pertains to my health that would help my health move in a forward direction. Just 5 minutes, walking, stretching, drinking some water, reading a book, taking some deep breaths, closing, resting my eyes, 5 minutes of positive self-thought. I had to do something that did not require motivation to be at the driver's wheel. And you know what? Once I started doing that, motivation started showing up, started making more appearances, helping me to overcome the most dangerous excuse. Listen, this excuse is never, ever true. You remember when Dr. Oz was on TV and he was teaching us about real age. I ran out, I got that book. I read that book cover to cover. I did that test a couple of times because I didn't believe it. It said that my real age was 47. But at the time, I was 35. I sat there, stunned, bewildered at those results. And that's when I realized that I had 2 choices. I could keep believing that it was too late for me and stay right where I was health-wise, or take a step towards bravery. You know what? I woke up the next morning and I chose bravery. I constructed a system for myself that set the stage for my day, one that gave me more successes than regrets at the end of the day. And I would rinse and repeat that same system Rain, sleet, snow, or sunshine. Best decision ever. Because now at 53, 54 in a couple of months, hey, I feel better now than I did in my 30s. And the beauty of all of this is that you don't have to flip your life upside down overnight. You just need to start. Put one foot in front of the other. Take a walk around the block. Drink an extra cup of water. Purpose to eat protein and vegetables at each of your meals. Go to bed 30 minutes early. When you get out of bed, spend a few minutes, 3 to 5 minutes stretching. Nothing too dramatic. Simple things. Tiny little things that you can do relatively consistently. Now granted, peri and postmenopause may make things a little bit harder, but not impossible. We do ourselves a disservice when we focus only on our age. We'd be better off mentally and physically if we were to focus on what works best for this phase of our life, this season of our lives. And that's what I'm sharing with you weekly here. Because listen, if you hear nothing else today, hear this. It's never too late to feel better, to make changes to feel better. Your body is ready to heal, ready for change. It's waiting for you to show up. So eat well, stay active.